I swear to you, the moment that seatbelt sign dinged off and I glanced left toward seat 17A, my entire body turned cold because the man who had been sitting there during takeoff right beside me was gone. Not went to the washroom, gone. Not switched seats, gone. I mean, the seat was empty, untouched. The belt still buckled tight, and the little indentation his body had made, completely gone too, like no one had ever been there. And the worst part? When I called the flight attendant over, she looked at me with this confused, stiff smile and said, "Sir, 17A was unoccupied when we took off." I remember gripping the armrest, my heartbeat hammering in my ears, because 30 minutes earlier, I had spoken to the man sitting there. I had looked into his tired eyes. I had watched him buckle his seatbelt. I watched him tremble during takeoff. I know what I saw. Yet somehow, now, the reality around me was rearranging itself as if he had never existed. It all began the moment I boarded Flight 482 from Kuala Lumpur to Dubai. I was half asleep, dragging myself down the aisle toward my seat, 7B. I remember muttering, "Excuse me," as I squeezed past the man already sitting in 17A. He gave me a tight nod. No smile, no expression, just this blank, exhausted face with heavy, dark circles. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. His clothes were wrinkled, his hands shaking slightly as he placed a worn-out black backpack under the seat in front of him. I even remember his cologne, sharp, almost metallic, like cold rain hitting steel. When the plane began taxiing, he leaned slightly toward me and whispered, "Do you ever get the feeling that you boarded the wrong life?" I actually chuckled, thinking he was making nervous small talk because the engines were roaring and the plane vibrated. But he wasn't joking. His eyes were fixed straight ahead, unblinking. "Sometimes," he said again, "the sky takes back what doesn't belong here." I didn't know how to respond, so I just gave an awkward smile and looked away. For a moment, I wondered if he was drunk or just anxious. But the way he held onto the armrests, the way his chest moved with every deep, shaky breath, something about him felt wrong. Not dangerous, just wrong. Like his presence didn't match the world around him. When we lifted off, he inhaled sharply, almost like he was bracing for impact. Then he whispered something under his breath, too soft for me to catch completely. It sounded like a name, or maybe a prayer. And then, this is important, he grabbed my wrist for just a second. His grip was ice cold, not cold like air conditioning, cold like touching metal in winter. He said, "If they ask, tell them I was here." I pulled my hand away, uncomfortable, and I remember thinking I'd switch seats once the seatbelt sign turned off. But before I could even make up my mind, the weirdest thing happened. The lights flickered, just for a millisecond. The cabin buzzed like a dying fluorescent tube. A few people looked up, confused, but then it stopped. Everything went back to normal, except for him. Because when I turned to look at him again, he wasn't there. No movement, no sound, no sign of someone standing up and walking away. The seat was just empty, pristine, like it hadn't been touched all flight. Now tell me, what would you do if the person sitting right next to you simply vanished from existence at 36,000 feet? I panicked quietly. I unbuckled immediately and flagged the nearest flight attendant. She leaned in politely, and when I said, "The passenger next to me is missing," her expression didn't change at all. She just said, "Sir, 17A is unassigned. No one is sitting there." I argued. I described the man, his bag, his voice, his strange words. She kept insisting, "There is no record of a passenger there. Boarding logs, seat map, everything shows 17A empty. I demanded she check the CCTV footage, but she said there was none accessible during flight. Frustrated, I bent down and reached under the seat, and that's when the fear truly began. The backpack he had slid under 17A, it wasn't there. Not moved, not misplaced. It simply no longer existed. Empty space, bare carpet. No imprint, no dust mark, nothing. I sat back down, shaken, trying to understand what was happening. My mind battled itself. Did I imagine him? Was I sleep deprived? Hallucinating? But my wrist, it still tingled where his cold fingers had touched me. And the smell of his metallic cologne, it still lingered faintly in the air. 3 hours passed like a slow nightmare. I couldn't sleep. Every little vibration of the plane felt threatening. Every passenger seemed unaware of the glitch in reality that had just unfolded inches away from me. I replayed his words again and again. If they ask, tell them I was here. Why would he say that? Who were they? And why did he tremble like he knew something was coming? When we began our descent into Dubai, the turbulence hit hard. The plane shook violently, lights flickering again, the same buzzing that had happened before he vanished. A baby cried in the back. Someone swore under their breath. A flight attendant rushed to secure a loose trolley. For a moment, the exact same static hum whispered through the cabin. And I swear on everything. I heard the faintest voice beside me whisper, "Wrong life, wrong time." When the wheels finally hit the runway, I felt like I had escaped something. Not turbulence, but something else. Something unseen. Something that had come onto the plane disguised as a man. Or maybe something trying to leave. After landing, everyone stood up to get their bags. My legs were trembling. I kept staring at the empty seat 17A, half expecting him to reappear like nothing had happened. But instead, something worse did. Because there, tucked into the corner where the seat cushion met the plastic wall, was a small folded piece of paper. My chest tightened. I reached for it with shaking fingertips. It was folded so neatly it looked almost compressed, like it had been pressed under heavy weight for years. I opened it slowly, terrified to see what was written inside. 5 words. Just 5. Thank you for remembering me. No name, no signature, but the handwriting, sharp, thin, irregular, like someone who didn't write often. Someone whose fingers were used to gripping armrests in fear. I stepped off the plane and walked straight to the nearest staff member. I tried explaining again. They offered a security check, a medical check, even suggested I might have dozed off. No one believed me. They kept insisting that seat 17A had never existed physically on the boarding list, that the seat had been marked out of service due to previous technical issues. Even stranger, when I looked at my printed boarding pass, my seat was listed as 17A, not 17B, not the aisle, his seat. I should have been sitting exactly where he sat, but he was there instead, or something that looked like him, something that wasn't supposed to be here at all. Even now, days later, when I close my eyes at night, I feel that cold grip on my wrist. I hear the static hum right before he disappeared. And sometimes, when I'm half asleep, I smell that metallic cologne, like cold rain hitting steel. Maybe he wasn't a ghost. Maybe he wasn't human either. Maybe he was something caught between timelines, between lives, between realities. A passenger who boarded the wrong world and vanished when the sky reclaimed him. And maybe, just maybe, when he touched me, part of him stayed behind. If you have any theories, tell me. I need to know I'm not losing my mind. Comment what you think happened on Flight 482, like the video if my experience gave you chills, and subscribe if you want me to keep sharing the mysteries that won't leave me alone. Because trust me, this wasn't the last one.